Yeah, I think that I agree with you, John. I think that's the way that I try to always speak about agency and intelligence is one that tries to scale
Mhm.
almost effortlessly through the different,
Hmm.
to avoid the woo soul that
Hmm.
we're afraid of. Um, but then again, this is the issue. Like this is in some ways it's the same problem. Like one way or the other. So let's say you have a group that self-organizes around a purpose, right? Or self-organizes around affiliation or some type of origin, right? That affiliation, that purpose is also given, right? It's like it
Yeah.
appears as a
Mhm.
revelation, and then all of a sudden we're all hunting a lion together, and now we're a group and we're moving towards a purpose. Now, this is the problem with the situation of what's going now is that what is it?
Yeah.
What angel are we catching?
Hmm.
Like what God are we trying to manifest? Like which unity, what purpose? We have no idea. And so we're building this massive body, like this huge, the most powerful body that's ever existed, but nobody knows what it is we're trying to catch.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because if I get together with a bunch of guys to play basketball, I know what that body is. I know what that agentic body, intelligent body is moving towards.
Right. Right.
If I get together with my family and I celebrate our unity, it's because I know that we all come from the same parent and that there's affiliation that makes our society coherent towards something. But now we have this problem, which is what? Like, what are we doing? Like, we're just building this giant body. It's like a
I agree, I've agreed with that from the
Yeah, and
beginning.
the thing that's so odd. I mean, typically, if you think of technology as a human creation in some good positive sense, it has limits and it has a particular place and it has a particular meaning, it has a particular purpose, precisely because we create it in order to solve some kind of a problem. There's some need that needs to be filled, and that need has a kind of natural givenness, or it's revealed somehow that it's a responsive to something that we see. What's so interesting, Neil Postman made this point about when he said he went to a car dealership and wanted to buy a car, and the man was explaining to him that they had now these automatic windows that would roll down at the push of a button. And he said his I mean, this sounds so naive, but it's a profoundly interesting question. He said, well, what problem does that solve? And of course, the problem that it solves is the problem of rolling a window down. And his response was, I never perceived that to be a problem. I mean, and it's really interesting. AI, I mean, the thing is, what problem are we creating it to solve? I mean, in a certain sense, it's a very different mindset. We're just kind of we just want to see what we can do and see what can be done. And in a way, the problems are something that we are arriving at and are surprising us rather than something that we're actually creating something with the just simple task of solving for us. You see, I mean, I think that's connected to this being placing ourselves in the hands of an angel of some sort, or entering into a kind of an agency that's bigger than we are. Those are all connected.
They are, but I mean, one problem that was trying to be solved was the scientific problem of like strong AI was a project of explaining intelligence, and that's a worthy thing to do. And the fact that this technology has largely been
Yeah,
separated.
but notice that's interesting. That's not a technical like you explaining something. It's actually, I mean, to use the classical distinction between theory and praxis, that's a sort of a theoretical issue rather than a practical one. But we think of this as a technology. I mean, that's a curious thing.
Well, yeah, and I would get into things like books, are technologies that move between the theoretical and
Hmm.
practical in a very
Hmm.
powerful way. And it's one of the greatest technologies we ever invented, and it had all kinds of unforeseen
Yeah,
consequences
yeah.
and really massively disrupted society. But but I wanted to make another point, and this isn't a challenge. This is just a clarification point, right? These like think about a computer. What problem does a computer solve? It doesn't solve a problem. It is meant to be a multiple problem solver. And then what we're trying to do is make a general problem solver. So what problem is it trying to solve? It's not trying to solve any problem. It's trying to enhance our abilities to solve all the problems we try to solve. So this machine's going to help us in medicine. It already is. It's going to help us, right, in doing physics. It all like that's, and so that's the answer. Now, again, that's not a challenge. I'm just speaking on behalf of people that think about this.
But it is kind of interesting. I mean, so the problem that it's solving is the need to be able to solve any possible problem.
Solving a meta problem. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, it is kind of it's sort of curious that precisely because of the indeterminacy of that, we're exposing this, and I'm just sort of stating, our condition here in a way. We're exposing ourselves to a really great risk. I'm just restating what everybody has been saying here today, but that's something that requires some wisdom, as you've been saying over and over, John, and prayer, to use Jonathan's language too.
I just want to do one.
Kent, you're jumping in.
Mentioned in my essay, which is we have done this before. That's how civilization emerged. Nobody built it to solve a problem. There was a bunch of little problems, and what civilization is a meta problem solver, right? And that's what it is. And then you can. So I've actually suggested we should also be paying attention to the lifetimes and the life cycles of civilizations and how civilizations reproduce and why they rise and why they fall, to get some better understanding, some other ways of thinking about these machines.
Yeah. So
the civilizations are huge distributed cognition, collective intelligence machines. Yeah. That's the living in cities is a horrible idea, except for the fact that it gives us better access to the collective intelligence of distributed cognition. That's the benefit that outweighs all the many noxious side effects of living in cities.
You can also get better coffee, typically.
Yeah. So we're coming toward the end of our time here. I mean, this has been fantastic.
This is amazing. Like, I rarely can go for 2 hours on any conversation. Like we've just been going.
Not only go for 2 hours, but sort of wish we had another 2.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, we can work on doing this again, because it feels like we finally all come together around something here, and now we're really asking what feels like a really important question to me is, well, how do we think about integrating this solution, this meta solution, into our meta problems? And that's a really interesting question.
I think that John bringing up civilization is such a great point. Something that I would really love to explore, because there is also, in the kind of inscribed in the mythological stories, a relationship between transpersonal agency and civilization itself, right? Like if you want to understand why the Egyptians had their king as a god and like all this type of structure, it can help you understand how they're trying to capture, higher forms of intelligence, distributed intelligences in their society. And the idea that we would be doing this technically in an AI, I think, is something that definitely is worth thinking about and discussing.
Yeah.